Okay, according to our clock, it's the top of the hour, or the bottom of the hour. Welcome to the Village Board meeting of May 20th, 2026. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening by our village clerk, Manal Desai. If you are able to, please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call this meeting to order, and I ask again that our village clerk, Manal Desai, please call the roll.
Trustee Pierce-Lovan?
Here.
Trustee Schechter?
Here.
Trustee Kimani Levy?
Here.
Trustee Robinson?
Here.
Trustee Iverson?
Here.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Here.
Mayor Tennis?
I'm sorry, I'm here and we have a quorum. I would like to start with a brief statement tonight that references the beautiful, colorful, meaningful graphic that's on the screen. So the Village of Skokie is very, very proud to partner with our valued partner, the Skokie Park District, to launch the Stand Up Skokie campaign. It was launched at the Skokie Festival of Cultures this past weekend, which is especially meaningful because the first Festival of Cultures was held in 1990. This community-wide Stand Up Skokie campaign, as I said, began last weekend, and it will continue throughout the summer at Skokie parks, facilities, in village buildings, and beyond. I signed the Stand Up Skokie pledge over the weekend, and I believe some of my board colleagues did as well. I would invite everyone in the community to join us by signing the Stand Up Skokie pledge at standupskokie.org. There also is a QR code. If it's not on the village website and the Park District websites and socials yet, it will be in the next few days. And that QR code will take you to a pledge where we collectively pledge to be respectful by actively learning from people whose lived experiences differ from our own, to be kind to others, recognizing that the words we use matter, and to stand up to behavior that causes physical or emotional harm. Now, more than ever, it's important that we take a stand up for one another and speak out against hate and inappropriate behavior. For me, as Skokie's mayor, it's all about making Skokie a shining example of respect, kindness, upstanding, and support for the rest of the world to see. This is not just our opportunity. I believe it is our collective obligation. And I hope that you will join me and my fellow colleagues in that effort. Finally, I must reiterate that as proud as we are and as excited as we are about the Stand Up Skokie campaign, it is but one of many components that include different discussions, programs, and initiatives that are underway in our community in light of recent anti-Semitic attacks and hateful comments at village parks. So with that said, the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. I would like to remove item 12C from the Corporation Council's agenda, and we will discuss it when we get to that point in the agenda. Is there anything else that anyone would like to have removed from the agenda, the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve with item 12C removed? Trustee Lissa Levy, is there a second? Trustee Gail Schechter. Any discussion? Not, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Pierce-Lovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Kimani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Thank you, and the motion passes. I'd like to pause for just a moment and point out, I think it's always very important to point out the individuals who were either appointed or reappointed or tonight who are leaving service on an advisory board or commission. So I'd like to recognize all of the members of the Village's Sustainable Environmental Advisory Commission who were reappointed this evening. And I would also like to acknowledge and thank Board of Health Commissioner Maureen Hanlon and Performing Arts Center Board Commissioner Rhiannon Gurley, who both, effective this evening, are resigning from their service. We are grateful for their service on our commissions. So with that said, the next item on the agenda is proclamations and resolutions, and we have a proclamation for Emergency Services Medical Week. And I'm going to read the proclamation, and I will present it to Chief Eschner and the Fire Department staff at the conclusion. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. Whereas emergency medical services fills healthcare gaps by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. Whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating the Emergency Medical Services Week. Therefore, I, Ann Tennis, Mayor of the Village of Skokie, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th to 23rd, 2026, as Emergency Medical Services Week, and recognize the 52nd anniversary of Emergency Medical Services, or EMS Week. The theme is Improving Outcomes Together. I encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities in honor of the EMS profession and the essential service it provides. Let's applaud, please, for our emergency medical services providers.
I can real quick. Board, everybody, thank you very much. I apologize, we're a little light tonight. The EMS work that we're being recognized for today, that's what we're out doing right now. So apologize, it's myself and Captain Vershak doing that, but thank you, the men and women of the Skokie Fire Department. Truly appreciate the support and all the recognition that goes with it. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief Eschner. And thank you, Captain Vershak. Now the fun begins. Now we have the swearing in of the following personnel by Willard Evans Jr., Chairperson of the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. Chairperson Evans, if you would proceed. And we will ask each of those being sworn in to introduce their families right after they are individually sworn in.
Good evening, Mayor Tennis, trustees, Police Chief Barnes, and all those who are here on this special evening. I would like to especially acknowledge the family and friends of tonight's appointees. This is a proud moment for all of you. I extend my congratulations to you and thank you for supporting your loved one to their journey leading to this moment. Tonight, we will swear in 3 newly appointed police officers. You must never forget that the men and women who serve as first responders deserve our admiration. They're often the first on the scene of a tragedy and provide security and comfort to those suffering. We invest our first responders with authority to promote and keep the peace. They have earned our support, our respect, our gratitude, and it is my great honor to be part of this very special ceremony. So Giovanni Barroso. So raise your right hand. I give your full name.
I, Giovanni Orozco,
Do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
the state of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
and the rules and regulations of the Police Department,
and the rules and regulations of the Police Department,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commissioners,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commission,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a police officer
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a police officer
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
You gotta sign your life away again. Make it official.
Congratulations, Officer Barosco. Would you care to introduce anyone in the audience who is here this evening?
Unfortunately, it's just me tonight.
Well,
But
we are all here for you, and we are grateful to you for joining our ranks, so thank you.
thank you.
Abigail Romanowski. So raise your right hand. And I, give your name,
I, Abigail Romanowski,
do solemnly swear that will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
the state of Illinois,
the state of Illinois,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
and the rules and regulations of the Police Department,
and the rules and regulations of the Police Department,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commissioners,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commissioners,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a police officer
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a police officer
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Officer Romanowski, is there anyone here who you would like to introduce?
Yes, so I have my beautiful mom Denise, who supported me through this entire process. My brother Patrick and his girlfriend Teresa, and then these 3 individuals are my childhood best friends who I've known since 4th and 6th grade.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here to support our new officer, and congratulations to you.
So raise your right hand. I, give your name,
I, Antonio Nelson,
do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
Do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
the state of Illinois,
the state of Illinois,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
the ordinances of the Village of Skokie,
and the rules and regulations of the Police Department,
and the rules and regulations of the Police Department,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commissioners,
and the Skokie Board of Fire and Police Commissioners,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a police officer
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of a police officer
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Officer Nelson, is there anyone in the audience who you would like to introduce?
Yes, thank you. So I'm here supported by my grandmother, my grandpa, my mom, my dad, my sister, my girlfriend, and my 2 best friends.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being here, and congratulations. So on behalf of the entire village board, I'd like to again congratulate our new officers and to thank you for your service. You've chosen a noble profession, and you are joining what we believe is a premier department. We are so pleased to have you serving and protecting our community. I'd also like to acknowledge our rank and file who came out in support. Grateful to all of you as well. We will now take a 5-minute recess so we can congratulate our new officers. We will reconvene at 7:51. How about it? right, thank you for your patience as we reconvene. The next item on the agenda is public comment. This public comment period and the one at the end of the meeting, both of them are for addressing the village board in regard to items that are not included as part of tonight's agenda. Each person is allotted up to 3 minutes. Please note that this is an opportunity to address the board, and the board is listening, but we will not respond. This agenda item is for up to 10 speakers at 3 minutes each. Please know that speakers who comment during the first public comment period may not speak again during the later public comment period. Who wishes to address the village board?
As the last time, I'm going to get to show you pictures. This one is pretty much all pictures. You guys are familiar with the concept of a Venn diagram, and early sustainability Venn diagrams look something like this, where everyone acknowledges we have the environment, we have society, we have the economy, and this middle section here was what they called sustainability, right, where they're kind of all being taken into account. But I would say instead, this is a much more accurate Venn diagram. And when people see something like this, they don't necessarily think of it as a Venn diagram, but it is. And what this is showing you is that that the economy is embedded in society. Without society, there is no economy, right? Like, if we didn't have a functional society, we couldn't have an economy. And without a functional environment, we couldn't have a society. So this is the way to look at it. Here's yet another picture of it where you've got the economy inside, and then society is sort of around that, right? Again, you can't have the economy without society. And without a livable environment, we couldn't even have a society. Here is yet another rendition of the same idea. And this one is more specific, where it tells you, like, specifically what is in the different things. We've got community and culture and governance, right? And without governance, you can't really have a good economy that serves everybody, and we're kind of seeing that in other aspects right now. But some of the things I've been telling you about, where climate change is increasing the cost of everything, including dealing with stormwater, including heating and cooling our homes, including the cost of food. It's causing migration, which is then causing a lot of societal unrest in a lot of places. So again, this is a thing to think about. And just, I want this to be seared into your brain. If you took nothing else away from me, let this picture stay with you and govern every single decision you make. And later tonight, I'm going to talk about an agenda item with other pictures, where the thing that people are focused on with the economy is actually hurting both society and the environment. And it shouldn't be allowed. But I will be more specific about that later. I don't want to break the rules, but let this be seared into your brain. Stare at it for the next 30 seconds until my time runs out, so that you never forget that without the environment, the economy doesn't matter. Without society, the economy doesn't matter. So the economy should not be the be-all and end-all. This idea of infinite economic growth is not the way to look at things. Nothing healthy grows for an infinite period of time. Even trees stop growing at a certain point up, and then they just, slowly get wider. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Krodnicki. I encourage you to email that to us.
This version?
No, well, yeah.
Okay.
You want that seared into our brains? Email it to us. Thank you. Mr. Shah.
Good evening. My name is Imran. Before agenda item 12C is approved through the consent agenda, I urge this board to pull it for full public discussion, policies affecting.
I'm going to interrupt you. It has been pulled. It has already been pulled from the agenda, or from the consent agenda, so we will be speaking about it under the Corporation Council's report. So if your comments are geared to that issue, they would be appropriately expressed to the board at that time. If you have other general comments about another topic, Mr. Shah, this is certainly the time for that. But if you really are interested in speaking about 12C, this is not the time.
It was pertaining to that, so you want me to hold off? till-
Yes, you can be first in line when we get to that item on the Corporation Council's agenda. Thank you.
That's great, but I still want to express some other things.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the village board during this, our first public comment period? Okay, there being none, we'll close public comment. And the next item on our agenda is the report of our village manager, John Lockerbie.
Thank you, Mayor and Village Board. Good evening, everyone. Item A is regarding a retail enhancement grant for 5013 through 5019 Oakton Street regarding Dewey's Barbecue Restaurant. Dewey's Barbecue Restaurant is slated to occupy the former Rich's Britches location on Oakton Street between 5017 and 5019 Oakton. The restaurant will revive the legacy of the family's spare rib barbecue pit that opened in Greenville, Texas from 1951 to 2004. The restaurant is being opened by the buyer of the building, Robert Fitzpatrick. 5017 Oakton will be the sit-down restaurant area with the 5019 Oakton space now connected and serving as a takeout counter. The vacant space at 5013 Oakton will be rehabbed to a white box condition, which is common for leasing space to a new retail tenant. Eagle Hair Care, located in the 5015 space, will remain. Mr. Fitzpatrick will be completing a full build-out of the space for the restaurant, including flooring, drywall, and framing, paint, full electrical, plumbing, HVAC, sprinkler and fire alarm, security system, insulation, carpentry, facade improvements, and the ADA bathrooms. In addition to the purchase price of the building, the construction cost for the interior and exterior rehabilitation of the property is estimated at more than $800,000. Staff recommends that the village board approve a retail enhancement program grant estimated at a not-to-exceed figure of $75,000 for build-out of 5013, 5017, and 5019 Oakton Street as the new home of Dewey's Barbecue Restaurant and one other future retail tenant. Grant funds will be transferred on a rebate basis following completion of all of the work, proof of payment to all contractors, and actual operation of the new business. I concur with staff's recommendation and respectfully request board approval.
Thank you, Mr. Lockerbie. Are there any questions or discussion I see that Mr. Fitzpatrick is in the audience. We'd love to hear from you. You care to tell us a little bit about Dewey's? I'm hungry just hearing about it. Did you have a question, Trustee Iverson? I wasn't sure.
What you just did exactly what I was hoping.
Thank you. And Rod Tonelli, our Economic Vitality Manager, is stepping forward as well.
Well, I'll begin with saying thank you very much. This is just one more very positive thing that has come from the village of Skokie out of many, many positive things. Since Dr. Keith Robinson asked me to consider coming to Skokie and locating my business there, and I actually came to Skokie just to tell people I wasn't interested. And that was about 2 years ago, and that was when I met Carol.
I was going to say, then you met Carol, right?
Yeah. So just so many positive things about Skokie. Born and raised in Texas, so I'm bringing Texas barbecue from a Texan to Skokie, Illinois, but also lived in Washington, D.C. I've lived in Singapore. And this community just ranks high in all the communities I've lived and worked in. Just very, very positive. It's diversity, it's inclusivity. It's like pro-business attitude. You know, Carol has been in the village of Skokie, I feel, have been a partner in this whole thing, not putting barriers in front of me, but solving problems, just problem after problem after problem. So I'm excited to bring Dewey's Barbecue Market to Skokie and continue my family's legacy and not let it die. But boy, what a community to bring it to in Skokie. So, and I don't know how many have like been born and raised right here, and sometimes you don't realize what a gift you have in the community you live until you go somewhere else. So I'm telling you, you got something special here, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thank you. We're glad that our colleague encouraged you to peek under the hood here. So thank you. Colleagues, anyone have a question for Mr. Fitzpatrick? Okay, if you'd care to be seated, that's
Sure.
great.
Thank you.
Would anyone in the audience like to comment on this matter? Okay, if not, a motion is in order to approve and adopt the Retail Enhancement Grant for the build-out of 5013, 5017, and 1519 Oakton Street. Is there a motion? Trustee Robinson's got it, seconded by Trustee Lissa Levy. One last call for comments? Okay, there being none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Pierce Lovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye, and congratulations.
Trustee Kamani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye, and congrats.
Yes, and the motion passes. Congratulations. Let's give him some applause. Thank you for investing in our community. We truly are grateful.
That's a hard one to follow. But item B is regarding the adoption of the fiscal year 2027 budget. The memorandum included in the agenda packet for this evening is a summary of the actions and decisions made by the mayor and board of trustees during their review of the fiscal year 2027 budget. These actions are the result of 4 public hearings conducted by the board during the month of April. In summary, the FY 2027 general fund budget, or more commonly known as the operating budget, equates to $78.2 million. All funds, including water, pension, economic development, motor fuel and local fuel tax, self-insurance, general obligation, bonded debt, tax increment financing, federal aid, Performing Arts Center, Convention and Visitors Bureau, special service areas, wireless alarms, and capital improvement program, total $194.893846 million. As a reminder, the budget requires funding from the amusement surcharge rate increase and extension to streaming, which is the next agenda item, as discussed at the budget hearings. Board approval of the fiscal year 2027 budget is respectfully requested.
Thank you. Are there comments or questions from the board? If not, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment on this matter? Okay, there being none, I'll look for a motion to approve and adopt the fiscal year 2027 budget. Moved by trustee Pierce-Lovan, seconded by trustee Lissa Levy. One last call for comments. Trustee Robinson.
I'll be brief, but I just wanted to talk about the process, which I appreciated. I think the board had rich and really interrogated the process about moving forward. So I just appreciated the conversation and kind of where we landed, and know that this is a responsibility that we need to carry out.
Thank you, trustee Robinson. Yeah, we spent a lot of time together in April, didn't we? And had some good discussions, so thank you. Anyone else? If not, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Pierce-Lovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Kamani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
The motion passes.
The next item is regarding the amusement surcharge rate increase and the extension to streaming. Julian Prendy, our Director of Finance, is going to provide a presentation regarding this matter. At the conclusion of the presentation, there'll be a recommendation for the village board to consider the amendment and direct Corporation Counsel to draft the appropriate ordinance. And with that, Julian, I'm turning the floor over to you.
Thank you, John. Good evening, Mayor and members of the board and the members in the audience. A lot of this information will be a repeat of our budget hearing for the board. It is mostly for the benefit of the audience and those watching from home. As John mentioned, before you tonight is in concept the amusement tax, and you may hear these terms interchangeably as amusement surcharge, amusement tax, or entertainment tax. They all mean the same exact thing. They're just referred to differently in various contexts. It was presented through the budget process as a means to meet several goals for both the board and the budgetary process. The budgetary need was established after the board took a look at the proposed budget as it was presented. It was balanced, meaning the revenues projected for this coming year were sufficient to cover the existing services as presented before the board for fiscal 2027. New or enhanced, strategic enhancement in services did, however, require new revenue. These enhanced services that were discussed were in total just over $1 million, and they included recommendations from a consultant review of development services and property standards. And these improvements include some staffing component and some software and equipment components. In addition, another strategic enhancement was to increase service through ambulance transport by adding an additional ambulance through power hours. And exactly how that'll play out, it's still to be determined, but it's several times a week during high demand peak hours, there'll be an additional ambulance in service. As I mentioned, new revenue was necessary to fund these strategic enhancements as the budget was balanced before these were added. We looked at amusement tax for several reasons. During the strategic plan process, the streaming portion of the amusement tax was identified as a key source to further diversify our revenue base, as well as make our revenue more sustainable in this digital economy. And this ties to the second point. Through the years, the village has in place a couple of cable service providers, and those cable service providers, through state law or local franchises, do provide some revenues that fund public services through a franchise fee. In this last decade, because folks have preferred to sign on for streaming services and essentially let go of their cable subscriptions, these cable franchise revenues have dropped significantly. This year is $300,000 less than what it was 10 years ago, because again, this transition to the digital economy and our revenue structure was not necessarily capable of handling it. The streaming portion of the amusement tax does help both diversify and sort of catch on to this digital transition. The current amusement tax for the village is at 2%. It is much lower than the area average, and we'll show a survey in just a few minutes. The average of these towns that we surveyed is over 5%. It's also a potential source of revenue that has the ability to produce revenue sufficient to cover these revenue sources. So these strategic enhancements that we propose. So all these reasons came together in making this a very viable option for this fiscal '27 enhanced services funding. Just a reminder again, the last goal of our strategic plan, financial stewardship, does have some key initiatives in creating and maintaining sustainable revenue, diversifying sources, and then process improvements. The first two of those initiatives are met through this revenue source in this amended amusement tax. As I mentioned, we did survey other communities in the area. The results are here on the screen, and I won't go down the list, but you can see the average is just over 5%. Streaming is not very common through these towns. It is up and coming in the last few years. I believe Evanston, Chicago, East Dundee have been around for several years, and then just this year, we understand Wheeling and Arlington Heights have jumped on board. So this is it's a revenue source that's being considered more and more by towns of our size and in the area as a sustainable and available option. As an example of what this means for the average user, the streaming component alone, based on an average household subscriptions of $60 per month, it's about $3 a month. Folks going to the movies are likely to see a 46 cents increase in the ticket price. So a modest impact spread out a larger tax base that ends up being a very meaningful revenue source to the village, funding at just shy of $1,070,000 for fiscal '27. That's all I had, and it's intentionally short to leave some time for questions.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Trustee Kamani Levy and then Trustee Schechter, and then we'll come to the north side.
Mayor Tennis, I assume this is similar to like a property improvement fee and how it will be assessed?
So the existing tax is charged on the entry fee in amusements, the Chuck E. Cheese's or the trampoline parks or the movie theaters. The streaming portion is just yet another surcharge added on the monthly subscription.
Right, so they collect the fee and pay it to the village, okay.
That is correct.
And second follow-up, are we assessing any penalties for noncompliance?
Not specifically to this tax. There are penalties outlined in the village code for all, taxes that become delinquent essentially, but not upfront, so.
Thank you.
I'd like to clarify one thing. We are raising the tax not to 5.38%. That's the average, 5%.
That is correct. I'm
So
sorry,
we
I
would
should have
still
mentioned
be slightly below the average.
that. That is correct, yes.
Okay, Trustee Schechter.
This is as much a comment as anything. If you can go back to that slide that was the strategic plan, you had the three, here, that one, financial stewardship. I mean, I think this is really important as we evaluated this as a board on selecting this as a revenue source, and also the fact that we know exactly where that money is going to go. It's not just, just generally raising a tax. And I would also add, obviously we adopted the strategic plan, but in my mind, a fourth important criterion is equity. So, in other words, this is not a fee on something that people have to have, like garbage service.
Mhm.
This is an elective thing, and it's not going to hit lower income residents.
That's correct, yes. It does go after your discretionary spending.
It's not a
Thank you.
regressive tax.
Right.
Any other comments? Trustee Iverson.
Director, how quickly will the streaming services be able to implement that addition to people's bills?
So we've sort of got a leg up on this process. We've made some contacts with colleagues in other towns that have gone through this process and have secured some good contact info, I would say. I believe in conversations with the Corporation Counsel's office, we're estimating a July 1 effective date. An August 1 effective date with a maximum of a July 1 contact and confirmation by the streaming companies, agencies, and there's about 50 of them that we are aware of.
That's excellent. May I?
Sure.
The amusement tax as we have had has been in decline in its revenue. Now we've got an opportunity of bringing this up substantially. What's the forecast going forward on that? Will we continue to see growth?
Well, so that's hard to say. The decline, the primary reason we saw for the decline was this impact that COVID had on in-person amusement, in-person entertainment. It shocked that revenue source. It never quite bounced back to what it was pre-COVID. The theaters at the mall also had an impact. There was at some point 2 of them, and then they came down to 1, so the base shrunk. I'll tell you, if we apply the same principle as the sales tax, when the digital capture went into effect in 2021, I would expect the revenue source would go up on a regular trend, as does sales tax currently, now that we can capture the electronic transactions through the sales tax full rate. So it's hard to say. My expectation is we'll see some trend on this going forward, because this digital wave, this leaving cable behind to go on streaming, is not likely to reverse. It's just my humble opinion.
Thank you. I think it's noteworthy that this increased tax will be applied to tickets sold at the North Shore Center,
That is
which we own.
correct.
So we're part of this. We're not just levying this on others. We are stepping up, and it's going to be assessed on tickets sold at a venue we own.
As
and
it is currently.
Yeah, yeah, so I think that's noteworthy. Any other comments from the board? If not, is there anyone, thank you, Mr. Prendy. Anyone in the audience? Ms. Grodnicki.
So it is sort of discretionary spending to say, okay, well, I want streaming services, but this is a conversation we have at home every so often, that it's sort of a raw deal, and that it was better with cable, because now you have to figure out, like, you don't have a TV guide, you have to figure out, well, where is this thing streaming, and okay, I'm paying for all of these services, but this one thing I want to watch costs $6 no matter where I go, so I guess I'll just hope it's at the library. And now people, like, I don't know, I listen to NPR a lot, and they're talking about people's spending habits in the face of gas being so expensive. And my friend was just telling me yesterday she spent $70 to fill her tank, and this is like a new thing, right? And this is one of those things where now we're very happy we have 2 EVs. And but as that continues, and it doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon, how many people are going to start saying, well, you know what, I don't need Netflix and Disney Plus and Paramount, right? Like, what if people start dropping these things? How are we going to stay resilient in the face of people changing their spending habits? I guess you guys don't respond to us, but I would like you to have a backup plan.
In general, the village monitors each revenue source on a regular basis as the receipts come in every month, and then twice a year, and then through the annual process of looking at revenue and preparing the budget. We have ongoing reviews of different revenue sources, and then as we project out for the coming budget, when there's a proposal, we have to assess revenue, and then we look 5 years out, 10 years out as well. And so we will continue to monitor you know, if this is approved, to monitor this revenue source just as we do others. And there will, over time, there will be changes and ebbs and flows, but we'll continue to monitor it.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the village board about this matter? Okay, if not, we'll close public comment. I would ask for a motion to direct our corporation counsel to draft the required ordinances for the amusement surcharge rate increase and extension to streaming. Is there a motion, please? Moved by trustee Lissa Levy, second by trustee Gail Schechter. Last call for comments from the board? Not, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Kamani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Thank you. This item will come back to the board for second reading and consideration for adoption on June 1st, 2026.
Items D, E, F, G, and H were approved as tonight's consent agenda, and that concludes my report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Lockerbie. The next item on the agenda is the Corporation Council's report. Tonight, we welcome one of our Assistance Corporation Councils, Stu Weiss. Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, of the 4 items on the agenda for my report, 3 of them were on consent. I will take note that the item A, which was the code amendment, this was a necessary code amendment to authorize the adoption of, 1, the code of conduct, which had been discussed by the village board at committee of the whole, and then at the prior regular meeting, and then the other item tonight, which has been pulled off of consent, which is the discussion of the rules of public comment. So that ordinance authorizes the village board to set these procedures via resolution, and from time to time update them or revisit them. So the one item that has been pulled off of the consent agenda, which is item C, the resolution adopting a procedure for public comment. I know that there's been appropriately public comment received about this. And I want to give a few prefatory remarks about this. I know that Steve Elrod gave a very complete presentation at the last meeting and also helped guide the board through the discussion at the committee of the whole. One of the things that I think is interesting to keep in mind is that the requirement to provide public comment is relatively new. It is within the time period that I've been practicing municipal law, which is a little bit less than 20 years. And when the Illinois General Assembly added a provision requiring public comment, it did not provide a whole lot of guidance. I'm going to read you the amount of guidance that it provided. Any person shall be permitted an opportunity to address public officials under the rules established and recorded by the public body, period. That's it. That's what the law said. And it left public bodies like the village board, like city councils, to figure out basically what the law allowed under that. This provision, I'm pretty sure, I would put a solid 20, that this has been one of the most debated, contested, and litigated provisions in the Open Meetings Act, because it really does come down to a central tension in the need for public input and the need for public business to actually be conducted in an orderly fashion. Every item that has been included, every rule that we included in the draft rules that you considered and discussed and advanced to first reading is backed up by either case law or a decision by the Public Access Counselor. The Public Access Counselor is the office of the Illinois Attorney General that is in charge of administering compliance with the Open Meetings Act. And so when we talk about things like time limits, when we talk about things like germaneness, when we talk about allowing residents to speak first, all of those things are absolutely constitutionally valid and allowed under Illinois law. And as I said, the real tension here is the ability of the public body to do its business at a public meeting. That's the important distinction here. Public comment time is distinct from a public hearing. For the members of the board or members of the public who have been to a public hearing before the Zoning Board of Appeals or the Planning Commission, those are opportunities where the public has a right to speak. Often they have a right to cross-examine. There is an interchange often in those cases. That is not what public comment time is designated for. Public comment time is a time for members of the public to come up, address, and that's really the key word here, to address the public body, and then for the public body to move on and get its business done. Some communities have very, very strict public comment rules. The city of Chicago only allows 30 minutes period for a city of nearly 3 million people, and they do not take comment on any agenda item in between. The fact that these rules have both a period at the beginning of the meeting or early in the meeting and then at the end is, I'm not going to say unusually generous, but most communities do not have that opportunity. The ability to, the prior ability to display, that is something that is not done very often. And I think there are very valid reasons for considering informational security, and then also just the general ability to move the process forward, ensure that the largest quantity of speakers actually get to speak. That's really the tension that we were trying to thread as we prepared these and then as we took feedback from the board. I'm happy to take any questions from the board about the rules. Yeah.
I believe these rules are certainly in our best interest. I'm very proud of the work that this board has done over the last year to increase the opportunities for public comments. You rewind the clock, and public comments were only held at the end of the meetings. Now we have up to 30 minutes at the beginning of the meeting, and there from time to time, and some of you in the audience have seen it happen, when there have been an abundance of folks who want to speak, we've extended that, and that will remain an option. We have, as you've heard throughout this evening, when there's an action item, we invite folks from the community, up to 5 speakers, to address us. We will, before we vote on this, we'll do the same thing. And then at the end of the meeting, we open up public comments. If there's anyone who didn't have a chance to, they're home putting their child to bed at the beginning of the meeting and they can get here a little later, well, they'll have their turn towards the end of the meeting. So this board, I believe, has done a really excellent job, and I would put our public comment openness and invitation. I believe we set a standard that is rare among peer communities from what I've heard from our corporation council. I know there's some disappointment and concern about not being able to use our equipment anymore for presentations. There are a number of reasons for that. Some of it has to do with the possibility of malware and different things. Although we trust our community partners, that is something that we cannot be. We have so much data that is housed at this organization. We cannot be careful enough. What I would encourage folks who do have printed materials, just like you heard me ask a member of our community about 40 minutes ago, if there's something you want us to see, send it to us. We regularly send information, goes from the village manager or from the mayor's office to everyone on the board. So we will still have the opportunity to look at whatever it is that you'd like to present to us. Comments from colleagues? Trustee Schechter?
I have two comments. I'll start with actually a question. Rereading this, I saw that we would not be allowing public comment at a committee of the whole meeting if that meeting is the same day as a regular village board meeting, and the comment would be then. But it seems to me that we should be allowing public comment at a committee of the whole, the same way we do with the 15 minutes for an agenda item. Is there, what is the thought process around that?
I'm glad to take that because John, our village manager and corporation counsel, Stephen Elrod and I discussed that. And when you think about the committee of the whole meetings, we start at 5:30 or 6, and we have really for all of us to be comfortable and to come into this boardroom with clear minds and to be able to focus on our work. We need to be done by 7:15 in my mind, maybe 7:20. And when I look at that time that we have to talk about whatever issue is at hand, for example, in June, we're going to be talking about video gaming. I want to preserve as much time as possible for us to be able to discuss that issue. And having public comment as part of it, we could, and we've done it in the past, but it takes away time for us to be able to discuss the issues at hand. That said, so let's just use video gaming as an example. People are welcome to come to those meetings. They can audit, they can listen, they can send us written comments afterward. If it's a consensus of this board that we would like video gaming to come back to us in this room, in the village boardroom for consideration, then we would be able to, well, a couple of things. One, there would be opportunity for folks to address us during that meeting. And let's use the hypothetical, our second meeting in June, where we'll be talking about it. If someone wants to audit the meeting, or even if they just can't come to the committee of the whole, but they know we're discussing it, it is their right to get up to that podium and address us before the meeting, because it won't be an agenda item on our village board meeting that night. So if someone has strong thoughts, one way or another, or has things they'd like to share with us about video gaming, they have the right to do that. So I think I believe we have ample opportunity for residents to address this board, but we need to be protective of our time as a group to conduct business and to listen to each other. Trustee Schechter.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for explaining that. That makes sense, and certainly, as you say, they can come back. People can come and speak at the beginning of the board meeting. My other concern is about, and it's on our packet, I guess it's page 69 of 135. It's the point 3 under speaker guidelines and requirements about the use of the village's audio-visual projector system. And I'm thinking, because the even though we have added all this public comment period, which is great, this is perceived as taking something away that people had. And so what I'm thinking, though, because I also understand the concern about malware, is there a way, because it's right there at the speakers, at their right-hand side, where they can use, it reminds me of the old days with the overhead projector, that why shouldn't they be able to use that?
The issue is that from time to time, as we know, our colleagues will ask to participate remotely. And unfortunately, currently, the technology does not allow for someone to be participating on Zoom and to use the document camera. John, anything, Nick, anything to add on that?
You said it very well.
Okay.
But if and I don't know, other people have begged to differ on that issue about.
Well, they can beg to differ all they want. It's just the technology. What I'd like to parse, though, people have and can use PowerPoint while someone is on Zoom. The technology allows that. The technology does not allow the former. It just doesn't. Okay. Anything else? Trustee Robinson.
Yeah, thanks for appreciate the conversation. Wondering, Attorney Weiss.
Yep.
If you could just speak just a couple of research-based practices with what's being presented through that lens as well, that would be helpful.
Are there specific questions?
Just best practices, research-based, that's in this particular piece.
Well, I would say that almost every single one of these has been backed up by an opinion of the public access counselor or a court case. And I don't have specific citations for every one, but as I said, this has been, this provision, I read all 2.5 lines of it, and in the decade and a half or a little bit longer that it's been part of the act, it has been, we've been trying to kind of figure out what is allowed, what is prohibited. And there were communities, for instance, that allowed 2 minutes of time. A court said that that's not enough time to allow someone to fully make a point and address. There were questions of whether you could restrict public comment to residents. Well, a court looked at this and said, it says any person, doesn't say a resident. So that, we've said, you know, we're very clear, any person can address. The mayor has the discretion to say, we have a large group here, I'd like to hear from the residents first. You can prioritize residents. And so when we look at this, and I think I'm kind of getting to, I'm seeing you nod your head, so I hope I'm getting to where you're getting.
Yeah.
Is that the Public Access Counselor puts out anywhere from 10 to 15 binding opinions every year. They're not court cases, but they're determinations made by the Illinois Attorney General's office. It's a subset of Attorney General Raoul's office. And they provide us guidance, and we read those assiduously. And we have gone back and rewritten provisions of the rules of procedure for all of our clients when those rules are better defined. This is the culmination of easily going on 2 decades of that work to come up with best practices. And as I said, there are some communities that are stricter, and there are not many communities that are more accommodating, I would say.
Thanks.
Any other, yes, trustee Lissa Levy.
So going back to trustee Schechter's question about the use of the document camera, in a circumstance like tonight where everyone is physically present and there is no Zoom issue, what would prevent us from allowing a speaker to use the document camera?
I would turn to our attorney. I mean, does that create an inequity? If tonight, when we're all here, if someone wanted to use the document camera, but if at our meeting on June 1st, someone's on Zoom and then we can't allow it, does that put us in a difficult position from a legal standpoint?
I would say that in any case where there is a good chance that people from meeting to meeting could be treated differently by chance. Now, I mean, there are things that could happen. We could have a power outage and couldn't have the meeting at all. But in this case, when you're talking about a circumstance that could vary, and someone, they put their heart into this PowerPoint or put their heart into a bunch of slides that they went to Kinko's and printed out and were ready to put under the camera, that wasn't available. The best legal guidance is to treat people fairly, equally on a regular basis.
Yes, trustee Pure-Slovan.
Thank you, Mayor. So as I'm listening to this, which I agree with all the points, and I think we're trying to make it so that people have more opportunity to speak as we have added time, I just want to clarify in my head that if you send in a PowerPoint to the village manager and or assistant manager, we can make it available even when someone's on Zoom, so during public comment, and they want to utilize some kind of visuals, graphics, it could be done. So, okay, so we're really not stopping people from allowing them to share no?
We are, we're saying.
Not even PowerPoint?
We're saying.
No graphics?
None.
Okay.
Because again, the issue, then it opens it up and is our corporation counsel, right, malware. And what he also said was that, and again, I want to be clear, none of the other towns, of the 20-plus towns that Elrod Friedman represents, permit people to use PowerPoints and graphics.
So another question, I understand that now, thank you
Yes.
for the clarification. So if someone had graphics that they wanted to share, they could print them, they can give them to us to look at and put them in in record, correct?
Yes, or they could email them to publiccomment@skokie.org, or send them to the village manager, or send them to my office in advance.
Or hand them to us at the meeting
Yes.
to look at as they're speaking.
Yes,
So that really just changes how we get the information.
Yes.
Not the ability to get the information.
yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, trustee Schechter.
That's just a follow-up to trustee Pure Slovan. So I understand that this is about, as you said, the key word is addressing the board. But a lot of times people use public comment to also communicate to the public. So, but that is not.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. They're here to address us. They are here to address us. This is not a venue for folks to address the public. This is for people to come. Again, this is our meeting time.
But when people share on,
Well,
then people who are watching on YouTube will.
Can see it, sure, and hear their comments, but that's not that is not the purpose for, their purpose should be to be addressing the village board.
But if they, sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
Just clarification,
No,
sorry,
please.
Mayor. But if they gave us the information, then it's it would be attached to the clerk's minutes? I'm asking, no, I don't know. If you're taking minutes and someone gives you a document, would they go into the minutes? Then public can see.
If it's public comments by email, it will go in the minutes. If it's a presentation presented here, it will go in our public comments binder. We will have it.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone I'll close our comments for now. Is there anyone in the room who would like to address us? Sure, if you come up and, yep, thank you. So Ms. Grodnicki, then Mr. Shaw, and then,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
oh, I promised you to go first, didn't I? Are you sure? Thank you for reminding me, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Ms. Grodnicki.
As someone who would be impacted by the issue of sometimes the document camera would be available and sometimes it wouldn't, right? So assuming that the PowerPoints are off limits because of the potential for malware, which I get, and the additional work that the staff would have to do to make them available once they're cleared, okay, fine, right? So let's say I wanted to just print stuff out on my home printer and put it here. I understand that sometimes people are on Zoom and that's just not available on those days, and it doesn't seem to me to be the same equity issue that, and look, I'm not an attorney, but that the attorney is saying it is, because everybody understands sometimes it's available, sometimes it's not. Like, what if it were just like a flaky piece of equipment and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't? I don't understand how someone being on Zoom is any different than the document camera just being on the fritz. And then also, would it be possible for all of the public comments verbatim to be made public to everybody? Because if I come here and I say something, now it's on YouTube for the whole world to see. But if I email it to you, only you have access to it. So I'm asking that you direct the clerk to make all of the public comments that are emailed verbatim available, whether that involves imagery, as long as it's, approved, or text, it doesn't matter. Is that an option?
So the way that public comment is designed is to give people as many different ways to communicate with the decision makers, with the policy makers. And so people have the opportunity to address you in the supermarket when they see you. They have the opportunity at the Festival of Cultures this past weekend. They have the opportunity to come to the podium and attend a public meeting. They also have the opportunity to send in an email to a public comment box. And that email is an opportunity for people to communicate in a more less public way. And so there's so many different options for people to communicate with the board. The public comment emails have not been made public on a verbatim basis with the meeting records.
I'm going to jump in here. They're always subject to FOIA though, correct? They would be subject to
I'll let the
FOIA.
I believe so, but I'll let the attorney respond.
Yeah, they would be subject to FOIA. We would probably redact if there was, private information like personal phone numbers or something, but the content would be available via FOIA.
Right, but that's an extra step that someone would have to take every week, and then it's extra work for the FOIA officer to have to go and track that down, like individually. Let's say 50 of us decide we want to FOIA all of the public comments, which I could probably arrange to have happen just to make a point, but like, I won't. But it's impossible, right? So like, I know how onerous this process can be, having to have FOIA'd all of your email addresses just to send you the survey that Go Green Skokie wanted to have out. So this seems like extra work.
I think our village clerk would like to say something.
So I've received feedback in my 2 years here, that some people do not want their comments to be made public. It's private, and as Corporation Counsel had said, it is to address the board. They don't want some of these items public. And for us to decipher who wants it public for everyone and who not, that's challenging.
But couldn't the person tell you whether they want it public or not?
I don't know if everyone is familiar. Sometimes people just send public comments. They don't know the practices of the board. They just want to make a comment, and they don't necessarily want that information out there.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's,
okay. We'll take all of that under advisement. Thank you. Who's next? Thank you. Ms. Pat?
Okay. My name is Shelley Pat. I'm a Skokie resident, and I would encourage the board to, as I mentioned at the last board meeting, examine this issue, or I guess the village manager and Corporation Counsel, examine this issue of the transparency and open availability of public comments for some future date. While I was sitting here, I was just Googling. I believe the city of Urbana does publish all submitted public comments as part of either the minutes or the agenda packet. I just Googling found Woodridge, Illinois, has a section on their website about public meetings, electronic public comment. If you cannot attend the meeting, you may comment electronically by submitting an electronic public comment form. Your unedited comments and any attachments or supporting materials will become part of the official meeting record as public testimony. And I don't know whether that means that they are included in a packet or anything, but it goes on to explain exactly what the procedures are, which I can definitely understand why the board and why Clerk Desai would be concerned about whether people understand this. But it does seem that other municipalities do have a way of making it clear, and it just seems, I don't know, more. If the concern is that, yes, people are addressing the board, and that when we are here it is to address the board, members of the public who don't attend meetings and aren't watching and might even years later want to know what public comments might be informing the decision-making of the board should have an easy access way to do that beyond filing a FOIA request.
Thank you. Our minutes do reflect, our minutes, yeah.
The
I
public
wanna
comments
look
that are
here.
sent by email, the
Yep.
subject matter and the name are listed.
Right.
But
Yeah,
it is
I'm-
not a verbatim transcript.
Right, I'm looking at the bottom of our minutes that we approved earlier this evening, and it lists 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 public comments that we received for the May 4th meeting, and just a brief summary of what those comments were. Yep. Mr. Shah.
Good evening. Agenda items 12C directly affects public speech, participation, signs, displays, projector use, removal authority, and transparency. These proposed rules give broad authority to determine what speech is germane, what is considered disruptive, what displays are allowed, and when residents can be interrupted or removed. That creates serious risk of subjective, selective, and viewpoint-based enforcement. Policies like this also create a chilling effect and discourage residents from speaking openly and critically. The proposed rules also state that public comment is not intended to be a forum for dialogue or engagement with residents, which sends the wrong message about transparency and public participation. Residents are prohibited from using visual presentations and projectors during public comment, while officials and staff continue using the same tools during the meetings. That creates an obvious imbalance. The restrictions on signs and displays are overly broad, subjective. Terms like interfere, disruptive, germane, respectful, civil can easily be applied differently depending on who is speaking and what is being said. The restrictions on committee of the whole meetings are also concerning. Important policy discussions happen there, yet residents may observe but not speak unless invited. And frankly, the timing of these policy raises concerns. After increased criticism from residents, signs at meetings, visual presentations, and calls for leadership accountability and firing the village manager, the village is now proposing broader restriction on public participation and expression. Public comment exists to hold government accountable, especially when criticism is uncomfortable. Transparency and public trust are strengthened by openness, not tighter control over free speech and participation. I urge this board to slow this process down and really reconsider this agenda item. People are being treated differently, residents versus staff, and I assure you, as a technology expert for over 25 years, malware cannot go through a piece of paper, through a camera input, into any staff equipment. That's not possible. You can bring any technical expert out here. That's not possible. It is also documented in previous board meetings that when a trustee is on Zoom or remotely joining the meeting, the camera input actually still works, and previously has been displayed in public comment. Residents have displayed input from the camera to the projector while a trustee was on Zoom. This changed after me putting signs of Fire John Lockerbie right here. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the village board? Okay, we'll close the public comment, and I'd ask if anyone else has a question, anything they'd like to say. If not, I would ask for a motion to approve the resolution adopting public comment rules. Moved by trustee Pure-Slovan, second by trustee Iverson. Last call for questions, trustee Schechter.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is there a way to amend this just to say, as technology changes, if if it's possible that people can use that overhead projector and somebody could be on Zoom at the same time, at such point we can review, or do we want to say, or just as a matter of course that we'll review this once a year? Just wonder, I just want to make sure like we're in step with technology.
Trustee Pure-Slovan.
Thank you, trustee Schechter. My feeling is everything is always under review, and there's no reason we can't, if technology changes, that is our obligation to come back to this table and make those recommendations.
Yeah, in the future yes, so I agree. So I would ask that the motion stand as it is, but with a collective sense as we all approach most issues that come to us. As trustee Pure-Slovan said it, there's always, things can always be reviewed. So, with that said, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee LaSallevi?
Aye.
Trustee Pure-Slovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Kamani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Thank you, the motion passes. That concludes your report. Mr. Corporation Counsel?
Yes.
Mr. Weiss? Thank you.
Yes, it does.
Thank you so much. The next two agenda items involve a public hearing to be conducted by the village board. We will convene a separate public hearing for each item. Our Community Development Director, Ms. Johanna Neiden, is approaching the podium. And as she approaches, I will now open up the public hearing for case 2026-01M, a request by the PNC Financial Services Group at 5033 Dempster Street for the full repeal and replacement of Special Use Permit Ordinance 03-Z-3176 through the modified review process. I note that the public notice for this public hearing has been provided in the manner required by law. Turn it over to Ms. Nyden, who will provide a brief presentation.
Okay, good evening. So I will be a little briefer than normal just because we have a number of cases tonight. So the first case for the modified review is from PNC Financial Services Group. They are requesting a full repeal and replacement of an existing special use permit at their Dempster Street branch location through the modified review procedure. The request involves the continuation of the existing bank use with the modifications to the approved site plan and landscape plan, including the removal of what we call the auxiliary parking lot that is west of LeClaire. So this is the site. You may not even have noticed that there's a parking lot to the west that is also part of PNC's property. They are bifurcating this, and they would just have this as their standalone property. The property will continue to maintain 37 parking spaces, and this is inclusive of 2 accessible parking spaces. The changes to the ordinance also reflect additional changes that we now included in our ordinances, and it would return to us for a second reading at a future date.
Thank you. Any questions from the village board? Any comments from the public? Okay, if not, seeing no, oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, Ms. Grodnicki.
So I use this bank and they got rid of their tellers. So now there are very few people in the bank at any time, and they definitely do not need that much parking, even what you see on here. So I was wondering if they ever have to redo the parking lot because it's, in disrepair, just say, that's it. Some of it gets converted into green space. Like, why do you need that many parking spaces if you don't have tellers and there's no one in the bank?
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Yes, Trustee Schechter.
Is there anyone from the petitioner who could answer that question?
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees. My name is Jim Olguin. I'm here on behalf of PNC Bank. In terms of what we need to do is we need to maintain the amount of parking, not only for the current operations, but also the potential, use of the property, which I think is, part of the one of the reasons that you have certain parking requirements for various uses. So we agree that in terms of what is being done on the property right now, it definitely does not need that additional parking area. And we believe what is presently existing will provide not only for our current use, but if there's ever any expansion on the use on the property and having additional employees there, that what is currently there in terms of 37 parking spaces would be more than sufficient. But number one, we don't want to put the property in a position where it wouldn't be workable in the future for the size of the building that's there. And making a short-term decision in terms of, starting to remove parking spaces.
Thank you, Mr. O'Kane. Any other questions for the petitioner?
I have a question.
Please, if anyone from the public would like to address us.
Hi, thank you. My name is Julie. I live in Skokie. And I'm just wondering, when businesses come across like this, I think the environmental question is
Please address the board. Thank you.
sorry.
That's okay.
The environmental question is important, and I'm wondering, when businesses are putting parking lots in place, if asphalt is put into consideration. For example, porous asphalt versus traditional asphalt will let the rainwater drain right through, or if other things are considered in this situation, and likewise.
I'll defer to either our village manager or Ms. Knighton.
So we consider, this site is existing, to be clear for everyone, that the concrete and asphalt is already there. If new developments have to meet certain lot coverage, impervious surface calculations, but really the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District has more stringent standards on where water goes and how water is absorbed, so we conform to those standards.
Thank you.
And Mayor, if I can add to that, I've been here on other projects as well, and including new projects, and permeable pavers and things like that are definitely part of the the comments that we do get back from staff. So that is something that's on the forefront, and that's something that Skokie does put on the forefront whenever they're having any discussions with developers that I've worked with. So staff does a fantastic job of pushing forward those type of items.
We appreciate that feedback. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the village board? Okay, if not, we have two motions on this. First, a motion is in order to close the public hearing. Trustee Iverson, you've got your finger up. I'm taking that as you're moving. Okay. Is there a second? Trustee Pure Slovan. Any comments? Not, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Kamani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Thank you. The public hearing is closed. Now, the second component is that we need to vote on case 2026-01M, the request by PNC Financial Services Group at 5033 Dempster Street for the full repeal and replacement of Special Use Permit Ordinance 03-Z-3176 through the modified review process. Is there a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Thank you. Trustee Robinson, is there a second? Trustee Iverson, any comments? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Kamani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Thank you, and the motion passes. We now I will open the public hearing for a different case. It's case 2026-03M, a request from 4820 and 4901 Limited on behalf of Piccadilly LLC at 4919 Main Street for modifications to the existing special use permit ordinance 24-9-A-4713 through the modified review procedures. I note that the public notice for this public hearing has been provided in the manner required by law. I will now turn the presentation over to Ms. Johanna Neiden, again, our Community Development Director.
Okay, hello. So Piccadilly has been operating as an indoor pickleball facility offering open play, court reservation, leagues, and lessons at this location. The modifications requested accommodate the continued operation in the same manner of uses and activity, but includes the incorporation of 4 full-size courts, a turf game area, restrooms, storage rooms, and additional restrooms. So same location, same use, consider effectively the same intensity of use. And one of the representatives from Piccadilly is here if we have any questions for her.
Any questions first for Ms. Neiden or any discussion from the board? Since our petitioner is here from Piccadilly, would you care to, we always like to hear from our business owners and those who choose to invest in Skokie. And while you're walking up, thank you. I talk to people every week who are at Piccadilly, and you've added a lot of great vibrancy and excitement to our community, and we're grateful for that. Can you tell us about the improvements?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you. My name is Lauren Busey. I'm one of the owners of Piccadilly. We are lucky enough to have been in the community now for over a year and consider ourselves to be thriving. Our courts are full and we are having fun. One of the main things that we like to do is to build community. That's one of our pillars, and we believe this additional space will allow us to grow that idea. In addition to the 4 courts that Johanna mentioned, we are hoping to have a community recreational space that can be rented in addition to pickleball and also outside of that as a separate space for people to use. And so we're excited about the option of growing. We are excited to work with our community neighbors as usual, and so far we've had a lot of support from Sketchbook and our neighbors in order to bring this to life.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Yes, Trustee Schechter.
Yeah, I just making sure to check all the boxes on this, but I'm just concerned about fire safety and fire codes with this expansion. Just wondered, how that's incorporated.
Ms. Neiden, can you address that, please? Thank you.
I would say this has been very well reviewed by our fire department, and I think Lauren would agree with that quite extensively. They have made sure every exit is appropriate, all the distances are appropriate, the sprinklers. This space was very raw. They've done a lot of work from the very beginning to make this a safe and usable space. So in addition to that, we've made very sure that you can get a fire truck and an ambulance to the entrance of the space as well. And so our fire department has worked very closely with them from go.
Thank you. Yes, Trustee Pierce-Lovan.
Thank you. This is just a comment. It's always wonderful when a new business, which technically a year to me is still a new business, can come back to the village and say, we want to expand, we're successful, we want to stay here, we like the community. So thank you for that. It's good news.
It is good news, isn't it? Any other comments, questions? Okay, who would like to address the board? Yes.
Hi, I would like to address the board. So yes, I agree that this is a good business that has come to our area. However, the Skokie path is a path that's used by everyone, not just the people who attend this business. And when this business came into play, there was a great amount of space in there in the natural area that was disturbed by that and has not been replaced. It was completely demolished, including a tree that's probably over 75 years old that was not cut by an arborist. And I question how the permit was set up and how that was allowed to be taken like that. And I would have thought by now, before considering expanding that, it would have been more considered to bring back the nature that was taken from all of us. So that's a very big concern for me and many people who use the Skokie path. I would encourage you to remember that this is a gem, this Skokie path, and that any business along here should have special consideration for the nature that is just irreplaceable. And I would like the board to think about what is there now, to go on the path and look at it. All of our residents most of our residents use it. My friends come from far away. I go, come to the Skokie path. They get so excited to come there. So of course, we want to celebrate Piccadilly, and we hope that they do the right thing. And we would ask that you would just look at the path and take a look at what you think could be incorporated as well to keep it as natural and as beautiful as it should be for everyone.
Thank you. Ms. Nyden and Ms. Busey look puzzled by that comment, so I'd like to give them a chance to respond.
So
Because the
as far-
Piccadilly is east of the path.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So we were just conferring, we're not aware of a tree being cut down associated with the path. We're not, that wouldn't have, we don't permit for work on other property that's not. And
Right.
so I guess we're just confused, and we would have to come back with additional information to the village manager.
So I think what we'll do, I'd ask you if you'd be kind enough, I remembered your first name, Ms. Julie, if you'd be kind enough to give your contact information to our deputy village clerks, Ms. Sylvia Luke, who is seated in the front here, and someone from our village manager or someone on his team will follow up with you, because I think we're all kind of curious exactly where you, we won't take any more information now, but if you would just give your contact information to Ms. Luke, someone will follow up with you and we will get that information. So thank you. Anyone else who would care to address the village board about this matter? Mr. Shah?
I'd like to address this project. Again, I welcome new businesses as well, as a business owner myself, but I know there's a deep history of Skokie projects and projects done by managed by Joanna and our fire department, including our own project where we were trapped into our own unit when on the board it was said that, fire department did their due diligence, the plan commission did their due diligence, and it all sounds very easy and up to the board and let's make it quick and pass projects. And I don't want to slow down anything for any business owner, as a business owner myself, but I think Skokie needs to do a better job than just saying yes to Joanna, anything that gets put up here. Because I think we do a poor job. I'm a perfect example of that, where we lost our, suffered so many losses, so many lawsuits from poor decisions that were done and approved by this community development department. So similarly, like this project where we were saying fire department's gone through and checked, another resident is pointing out these issues, I think we need to do a better job and check all these things to make sure that is actually true. So, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Anyone else who would like to address the village board? Okay, if not, we'll close the public hearing unless there's anybody on the board who has a question. Okay, again, we have 2 votes on this. The first is a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a motion? Trustee Lissa Levy, second. Trustee Pierce Slovan. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Pierce Slovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Kamani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Thank you. We will now vote on case 2026-03M. I would ask for a motion to approve a request from 4820 and 4901 Limited on behalf of Piccadilly LLC at 4919 Main Street for modifications to the existing special use permit 24-9-A-4713 through the modified review procedures. Is there a motion, please? Trustee Lissa Levy, and a second, Trustee Pierce Slovan. Any final discussion from the board? If not, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Pierce Slovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Kamani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Thank you, and the motion passes. Congratulations, and thank you again for your investment in Skokie. We appreciate it. The next item on the on the agenda are Plan Commission cases, and we'll start with Plan Commission Case 2026-05P, Site Plan Approval for 8246 Christiana Avenue, again presented by Ms. Johanna Neiden.
Okay, this is a request by 823646 Christiana LLC on behalf of Fahad Wahid for a special use permit for an automotive repair facility. In the M2 Light Industry Zoning District, the business has been operating since April 2024 and expanded into an adjacent space in late 2025, now occupying 4,620 square feet with 4 service bays and adjacent space, and approximately 3 employees. The staff recommends approval of the special use permit. The Plan Commission also concurred with this at their May 7th, 2026 meeting and recommended the village board approve the special use and relief to allow 13 parking spaces rather than the required 14.
Thank you. Is our petitioner here? Yes. Are there any questions for Ms. Neiden, or if our petitioner would kindly introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Fahad Wahid. I own Detail Driven LLC. So essentially what we do is paint protection film, window tinting, and automotive ceramic coating, and vinyl wrapping as well. So pretty much anyone that has a vehicle can come to us, get their vehicle customized, exterior-wise, protect the paint of the vehicle, and then in terms of ceramic coating and PPF, she said that we do have 4 service bays, and then we have 4 curing bays. So the 4 service bays would be used to actually work on the vehicle, and then afterwards, those vehicles will be moved into a service curing bay for them to cure overnight, whether we need to keep them for a couple of days. We do work on high-end vehicles, so average vehicle price is about $70,000 to $80,000. We worked on vehicles that are $500,000. So I mean, we can't keep them outside, we would have to keep them inside. So we have trained specialists for all our services. We have proper tools, we have proper security within the property as well too. So if anyone has any questions, I can answer those.
Thank you. Are there any questions for our petitioner? Yes, Trustee Pierce Slovan.
Not a question, a comment. I'm glad to see again that somebody's coming back to us to petition to grow their business, and we wish you a great deal of luck if it passes this evening.
I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for investing in our community. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the village board on this case? Okay, there being none, I would ask for a motion to concur with the recommendation of the Plan Commission for Plan Commission Case 2026-05P, Site Plan Approval for 8246 Christiana Avenue. Moved by trustee Lissa Levy. This is, yes, trustee Lissa Levy, seconded by trustee Kamani Levy. Any final comments or questions from the board? Okay, there being none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Pierce-Lovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Kamani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda are 3 Plan Commission cases related to property at 8357 Skokie Boulevard, again presented by Community Development Director Johanna Nyden.
And Mayor, I'd like to request that we also include case 202609P that involves the 4741 Main Street, treated as one whole package because there's a map amendment associated with this as one large package. So it's 4 cases, 2026-06P, 07P, 08P, and 09P.
Okay,
Okay.
please proceed.
Thank you. These 4 related cases involve a proposal by Dunkin' franchisee operator to renovate and add a drive-through to 8357 Skokie Boulevard. The zoning map amendments and the chapter amendments would place these properties in similar categories with one another and with property occupied by a gas station across the street on Main Street. It further grants a special use permit for the limited service restaurant with drive-through, which is designed to accommodate 10 vehicles, stacking entirely on site, includes 17 surface parking spaces and outdoor dining and bicycle parking. The Plan Commission and staff recommend Village Board approval of all 4 cases. The Plan Commission unanimously recommended, with 1 absence, 8-0 at its April 16th meeting. And it includes the standard village conditions as well as restricted left turn signage during peak hours and hours of operation from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. And the petitioner is here for any questions.
Yeah, I was hoping to see the site plan. Hello, Ms. Panchwani, if you would be kind enough to walk us through the plan, and your family has long invested in our community, and we are certainly grateful for that. If you would walk us through this new venture, we'd appreciate it.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, trustees. Yes, as Mayor, as you mentioned, my family, we've been operating Dunkin' locations since 1986, so this is our 40th year. And we currently operate 5 Dunkins in Skokie. This one is a proposed relocation of our existing Dunkin' at Main and Skokie. We are proposing to relocate to the former 7-Eleven and shave off about 500 square feet of the southern portion in order to accommodate a drive-through that circulates around the building. So if you're looking at this side, Skokie Boulevard, cars can enter from here, enter the driveway, then we shave off that 500 square feet, where now they can actually go around the back of the building, and they would have the window on the other side, on the north side of the building. That's the site plan. Any questions about the site plan?
Any questions? Trustee Schechter.
And just to clarify, you're the same family who requested on Tui where we allowed the demolition of 3 single-family homes for a drive-through.
Correct, yes. Yes, that is, we are the same family franchise, correct.
And currently where you are now, you don't have a drive-through?
We do not. That store we opened in 2000 and I believe 8, and we do not have a drive-through there, and that store is a very low volume. It's a struggling store. We've been looking to relocate or do something there maybe for 10 years.
May I ask, what are your plans for that property?
We are working with Rod on identifying some options. We have some interest in the Dunkin' space, but it's a blank canvas for now. We look forward to continuing to invest and revitalize that intersection.
Mm-hmm. We're all keenly interested in mixed use, so if I may plant that seed.
It's come up and it's been part of a discussion already
Good.
with Rod.
Good, thank you for your, I know that would probably be something different for you and your family, but we would welcome that.
Okay.
Yeah. Questions? Yes, trustee Schechter.
My questions are more for staff
Yeah,
than for.
sure. Yep.
Thank you, yeah.
Ms. Nyden.
So, I have some real concerns about this project and just wonder how, and certainly you have a right to come to us, and that's not the issue, but it's more our sort of sifting process. And I was looking at our sustainability plan. So under land use and housing, LH 1-2, I'll just read this. It just says, identify underutilized paved areas and incentivize conversion to sustainable green space or infill development. Conversion focus should take into consideration neighborhood green space, heat island mitigation, affordable housing, and bike walk mobility needs, and prioritize site utilization based on addressing the greatest needs at each site as determined through appropriate engagement with the community, particularly people traditionally underrepresented. And it just seems to me that this project with a drive-through, like we've already said that we don't want to keep approving these. This is a perfect transit-oriented development location. I could imagine not a drive-through Dunkin' Donuts and having maybe some apartments above it or some kind of wonderful development like this. I just wonder, like, how did we get here?
Sure. So we certainly look for opportunities all across the village to carry out the sustainability plan. And the challenge we always run into is the market sometimes has other ideas. And so this property has sat vacant for a time enough that we have gotten calls and concerns that this is sitting vacant for a long time. Meanwhile, Kitty Corner, without talking too much about what their plans for the future could hold, we see the site in the Kitty Corner to this where they currently are as a really valuable site for that mixed-use, transit-oriented development. We see it as underutilized. Rodney Tonelli, our Economic Vitality Manager, is working with the property owners to think about how we invigorate and maybe even create some density in that location. This site, when we talked to different developers about it, didn't lend itself to make market sense right now. The costs, I've been here before to talk about the costs of construction, are so significant, it's hard to create a low-rise building and get a return on your investment right now. This site is not gonna, we've shopped as developers, it's not attractive for that use. The Kitty Corner is. We spent, without getting too far into the weeds, we spent a long time working with Marina to see how a drive-through could be accommodated at that site. In some ways, that site lends itself nicely. You can't see the drive-through. It meets a lot of the other goals that we've talked about at the village board about screening drive-throughs, keeping them, away from pedestrians. But we could, I think we went through 9, 10 iterations of how a vehicle could get around and also get a cup of coffee. It was literally impossible to meet a safe circulation pattern. From a zoning perspective, that got a little tricky, and so Rena pivoted to this location to accommodate that. There is a demand for this use. We get, believe it or not, we get calls for these. How do I get coffee this direction or that direction? It is something that this community wants. So that's the short version of how we got there. This reflects probably 18 months of conversations back and forth. She's worked with us to put more outdoor seating, bike parking, and think about, I think one of the iterations had us loading off of the alley, so that we didn't want to put more cars in the other areas for other conflicts. She's contained everything on the site, so there isn't a change in how the site is specifically going to be oriented to the street. The same openings are there, and that is quite acceptable to staff.
Go ahead, Trustee
Yeah,
Schechter.
yeah. Did you do, the other concern is this is a very well-traveled intersection, and this will add even more traffic. There's plus for pedestrians, you've got a service station on one corner, a gas station. You have so many areas that, like, a pedestrian could just walk the wrong way and,
I want to speak to that for a moment because I live right near there. I cannot tell you how many times there have been near misses, and I would be curious from our police department how many accidents occur from people going in and out of the existing Dunkin' Donuts onto Skokie Boulevard. People trying to turn left to go to go east on Main Street are in direct conflict with people going in and out of the driveway. And you want to talk about dangerous? I will not be sorry to see that change because it really and truly, I've seen too many issues there over the years. So that's my comment. Ms. Neiden?
Our traffic engineering staff have sat in all the meetings to discuss what's a safe route. This is an acceptable route. This safely This creates more visibility for people exiting at those high volume times. Pedestrians and cars can see each other. That this was acceptable to our engineering staff. The staff reviewed it. It's designed, this site is designed for vehicles. The other site that we worked very hard to figure out how to make a drive-through really isn't designed for vehicles and pedestrians to interact in a safe way. And so we have to do those trade-offs. We have to balance, and this was the balance to keep the business that wanted to be in Skokie in this location, keep them here, help them expand, but do so in a way that tried to manage the context. When 7-Eleven was operating, surprisingly, it was quite busy for procurement of coffee in the morning as well. And so people moved in and out of this area. And this is part of my route in and out of work every day. And I would see people turn in and turn out, and you can see them in a way that just crossing over the intersection anecdotally. Sometimes I find myself head on with somebody who thought that would be a good way to make a left to go back, and that was not the right way to travel.
Other questions for either Ms. Neiden or our petitioner? Okay, if not, is there anyone who would like to address the village board on this project? Mr. Shah, you can be up first.
Good evening. Again, another example of poor planning, poor projects that should not be even up here. Skokie does not need another poorly planned Dunkin' Donuts. We have enough Dunkin' Donuts in Skokie. Residents are already seeing an over-concentration of fast food, drive-through developments, while other important community needs continue to be overlooked. What many residents would rather see are developments that actually improve quality of life, healthier dining options, maybe more gyms, thoughtful redevelopment, local businesses, and more affordable housing, which is really needed in Skokie. Too often, it feels like short-term commercial approvals are prioritized over long-term planning and community impact, just pleasing local developers and business owners. The village should be asking whether another drive-through chain truly benefits the surrounding neighborhood, the traffic flow, infrastructure, and overall character of the community. Residents want development that adds value to Skokie, not more Dunkin' Donuts, not more of the same. I urge this commission and board to think more carefully about the long-term direction of development in this village. Thank you.
Ms. Grodnicki.
I think Nick is helping me. I actually had more visuals about this very thing. So, this is part of, this is the abbreviated version of something that I sent the board earlier today. Per gallon of gasoline, an idling vehicle can produce up to twice as many toxic emissions as a vehicle in motion. Nobody in their right mind would sit outside and eat next to a drive-through. Emissions from idling vehicles build up instead of dissipating. And drive-through workers are exposed to these toxins, and all of the pedestrians. So here is some stuff from the UK about vehicle emissions and actually breathing in toxins. We're responsible for 390 deaths per year in Staffordshire, so you have to scale that. So it's not just bad for breathing. All of those toxins that are building up from the drive-through are slowly making their way into the residential community. If I am not mistaken, you can see, here I believe is the location of the proposed Dunkin' Donuts, and you can see to the north and the east and the south of that location are residences. So you're poisoning all of the children who live there because they're going out and they're playing in the dirt, they put their hands in their mouths, and now they're basically eating all of the chemicals that came out of the idling cars. There are plenty of alternatives to drive-throughs. I'm just going through for time. Make sure that the messaging everywhere about the dangers of idling so that people understand why this is so terrible. When you're sitting there in an idling vehicle behind 5 other cars and cars behind you, and you have your heater on, it's pulling air from outside, and I can smell the exhaust. Like, I can't even tolerate having my heater on in the winter because I have to have the air come from outside, and I can smell the exhaust of the vehicle in front of me. I turn it off when I get to a place where I have to stop. So putting a drive-through in Skokie is actually gonna set us back toward reducing our greenhouse gas emissions. We do not need a drive-through. People will only go to a drive-through for coffee because in their perception, it's faster to go through the drive-through than to get out of their car and to go into the store, which in my experience is actually not. I've tried to wait in a Starbucks drive-through versus getting out of my car and going into Starbucks. It's so much faster to just go up there, give them your cup, they fill it, and then you leave. The other thing is, it's even faster to make it at home. If you think about the amount of time and money you're spending on buying coffee, it makes no sense at all to do that. By the time you have to slow down and get into the drive-thru, wade through all of that stupid line, and then get back onto the road and speed back up, you could have made 5 cups of coffee at home. So the other thing is, this top row here, which was not made clear, is the same scale as this bottom row. So this top row is like rotated, so up here, this is north, and that's Grosse Pointe and Skokie Boulevard, whereas here, this is Carlisle, and that's Crawford, and that's Maine. And you see how many businesses there are in the space, that you only have 4 businesses up here because of the drive-throughs. So it's bad for economic development too. No more drive-throughs.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the village board on this matter? Okay, if not, any other questions for the petitioner, Ms. Nyden? All right, go ahead, trustee Schechter.
Yeah, I also have a concern about, I mean, in addition to all the comments made, just the point of changing this zoning from, I feel like it's putting us backwards. So even looking at this finding of fact that, you know, it was zoned, this CX zone was meant to be for mixed use developments that we all say, you know, we really want to have, and then we're going to sort of change it back. And it just feels to me that this is not about the village really being in the driver's seat here.
Thank you. Any other comments? Trustee Iverson.
Just a very brief
Please.
comment to say, because of course I agree with many of the things that people are saying, but I am especially grateful to the family that's been investing in our village, and it's been a location that we've used, and I know it's going to be very busy in the new location as well. So thank you for the investment.
Okay, we'll close our discussion. So we're going to we'll take all 4 of them as one, but we need individual motions. Okay. So is there a motion to concur with the Plan Commission recommendation 2026-06P zoning chapter amendment approval?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Robinson. Is there a second? Trustee Kamani Levy. Any discussion? If not, will the clerk please call, I'm sorry? Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Nay.
Trustee Pierce Lovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
No.
Trustee Kimani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
And the motion passes. This is first reading and will be back before the board for a second reading. Is there a motion to concur with Plan Commission recommendations for 2026-07P zoning map amendment approval? Trustee Iverson, I see a motion coming and a second from trustee Pierce Slovan. Any comments or questions? If not, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Nay.
Trustee Pierce Lovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
No.
Trustee Kimani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes. This again, you're going to hear this 3 more times. This is the first reading and will be back before the board for second reading, assuming the other motions pass, I should say. Is there a motion to concur with Plan Commission recommendations for 2026-09P special use permit approval?
So moved.
Thank you. Trustee Robinson, is there a second? Trustee Pierce Slovan, thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Nay.
Trustee Pierce Lovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
No.
Trustee Kimani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes. Finally, the next case is, or the next item on which we need to vote is a motion to concur with Plan Commission 2026-8P, the zoning map amendment for 4741 Main Street. Is there a motion? Trustee Iverson and a second by trustee Kamani Levy. Discussion? Not, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Nay.
Trustee Pierce Slovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
No.
Trustee Kimani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Thank you, the motion passes. That concludes our hearing of this case. These will all come back before the village board for second reading. Thank you to Ms. Nyden. Thank you to the Panjwani family. We look forward to this location. We also really look forward to some creative plans. You've heard the board loud and clear what we are hoping might happen at your northwest site. So thank you again for your continued investment in Skokie. Okay, moving on. Our final case this evening is case 2026-11P, a special use permit for the property at 8019 Monticello Avenue.
Okay, this is a special use to operate a hand car wash with shared surface parking at 8019 Monticello Avenue in M2 Light Industry Zoning District. The Plan Commission heard this case at its May 7th, 2026 Plan Commission meeting. They voted 7-0 with two in support of a recommendation to the village board with 2 members absent. Staff also concurs the village's standard conditions would apply with services needing to be made by appointment and hours of operation consistent with what was presented to the Plan Commission, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. each day. And
Thank
the
you.
petitioner is also here tonight.
I've heard there are some young entrepreneurs. Would you gentlemen care to tell us about your plan?
Hello, good evening. I'm Anthony Duenas. First of all, I would like to introduce my family. They're right here in the crowd. And that's my business partner, Jair Duenas, my little brother. And then we have our investor, our father. We're going to open a new business in Skokie. First of all, I would like to say we're very excited to invest in your community. We're not from this area. We come from a foreign family, and this is going to be our second company. We are a family-owned company. We're going to be working detailing vehicles, interior and exterior vehicles, and exterior detailing, mostly working with high-end clients. We're going to be only working on their schedule, and I know our main concern is the parking. We won't have an issue with that because we won't be storing vehicles inside of the building. And also, we offer pickup and drop-off of our clients' vehicles as well, so we won't have a problem with the volume that we will be receiving. We're expecting between 6 and 12 vehicles per day. If anything happens and we have more clients coming in within that day, we will schedule them later on the week. We acknowledge that we are working on a tight parking space, so we won't be able to use all of it for our use. Once again, I would like you guys to accept our request. And we're excited to do business in this community. I met a couple business owners here. One of my close friends, I didn't know he had a landscaping business in this area. He told me wonderful things about this community. In first place, it wasn't, Skokie wasn't a place that we knew of before. But once we spoke with our realtor, he showed us a place, 8019 Monticello Avenue, beautiful building. Then I got to meet some people. Mr. Iverson in the board, he was here in the first meeting. In the first meeting, I presented some slides, giving some insight of our company, which I wasn't be able to bring them today for some reason. But I'm glad that I'm here. I'm excited to open our new business in this community, and I'm glad to be working with you guys.
Thank you.
Moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I received an email today from Trustee Iverson, very complimentary of you and your business
Yes.
partner, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for the petitioner, Ms. Nyden? Trustee Schechter.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm going to, maybe this is more for Ms. Nyden, and yourself too, but just it seems like we now have like a little niche in Skokie around automotive, repairs, et cetera, and just wondering if that is, if you did I don't know, what would you call that, a market study to make sure that,
Yes.
are you all complementary of each other, or how?
Yes, so the great thing about our location is that within a 2-mile radius, we have plenty of dealerships. They're very big here in Skokie, which we're planning to partnership with and be working with in the next few months. So that's something very important for us because they're very close to us, so we won't have to worry about logistics with moving the vehicles. So that's a great opportunity. Usually, once I start making more research about Skokie, we realized there's so many high-end detailing shops. So that was the first blink that we have, and we saw an opportunity. We have great vision here in Skokie, and we're thinking that we're going to be striving for business and be very profitable. And we are going to be very happy to contribute with our taxes and be one with this community and provide our services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Is there anyone who would like to address the village board about this proposed project? Okay, if not, I would ask for a motion to concur with Plan Commission Case 2026-11P, special use permit for 8019 Monticello Avenue, moved by trustee Kamani Levy, seconded by trustee Lissa Levy. Any last call for comments? If not, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Pierce-Lovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Kamani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Good luck. Aye.
The motion passes. Thank you, and we do wish you all of the best with this venture. Thank you for choosing Skokie. Last item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone who has not yet addressed the village board who wishes to do so? Ms. Pat.
And I will keep this brief, but I would like to just encourage the board to add, again, another thing to consider at a future time, revisiting the issue of where drive-through businesses of any type or any owner fall into the vision of Skokie. I know the previous board had sort of started to address this and sort of left it to be discussed later because obviously there are a lot of concerns that come up about drive-throughs. I mean, whether they're coffee shops, whether they're restaurants, we have not had new drive-through pharmacies opening up recently, but every time a drive-through is proposed, the same issues come up. The issue's not just about traffic, but there is a difference between cars driving and parking in a parking lot versus a line of cars that very often stretches out across the driveway and sometimes into the street, as do I can think of, I'm not going to name them, but I think everyone's seen like 2 or 3 of the coffee shops in Skokie that have drive-throughs where that happens at busy times. And the things that were already mentioned about the environmental concerns and the health concerns to the neighborhood and to the employees of breathing that exhaust. And as, you know, this reminds me of the conversations we've had about affordable housing, where Ms. Neiden very rightly pointed out that by the time a case comes to the board or even to the Plan Commission, is too late to start saying, wait, we don't want you to propose a project that is allowed under Skokie's, whatever Skokie's plans and codes are. So I'd really encourage the board to, at some future time, go back to readdress this issue of where drive-throughs fall into the vision of Skokie and the health of its residents.
Thank you, Ms. Pat. Anyone else? Before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I cannot let the meeting end without acknowledging the wonderful Skokie spirit of our colleague, trustee Lissa Levy. I'm just saying, with those Skokie flags, she has been wearing them proudly all evening. They were quite the exciting commodity at this weekend's Festival of Cultures, along with coloring sheets, and like to just publicly also give a shout out to all of the village staff from all the different departments who helped with the public outreach at this past weekend's Skokie Festival of Culture. So with that said, and with Trustee Lissa Levy's wonderful Skokie spirit acknowledged, I would ask for a motion to adjourn from Trustee Lissa Levy and Trustee Kamani Levy. Will our clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
Trustee Lissa Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Pierce-Slovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter? Aye. Trustee Kamani Levy?
Aye.